Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. And today we have an interesting topic. We're going to talk about this interesting video I saw that was online where you had a mother with 6 kids who was looking for love, and it drew a lot of response, a lot of controversy, and I'd like to kind of address some of that. So joining me today is Tiara KJ Williams, aka Miss Black Hollywood. How you doing today, T?
I'm good. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you. All right. So this video, what I'm going to do is jump right into it. And as you come in, please hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Don't forget this podcast is also on Spotify and Apple. And if you look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify, you can find it there. And also the second podcast on Spotify is How to Make Money Without Working. So feel free to find that as well. All right. So T, all right. So first off, just that idea of having 6 kids before we share the video. Does anybody in here have 6 kids? I mean, how many does anybody have kids?
7.
How many, 7. Was it 7 kids?
Yes, she has 7 children.
That's a pretty fertile woman. That's
whoa.
That's heavy. Okay, so 7 kids. I thought it was 6. Now I'm even in more shock than I was before. Okay, so 7 kids. All right. So, what was your first thought when you even heard this story? I'm gonna play the video in a minute, but I'm just trying to get what was the initial reaction?
The initial reaction, I was just thinking women fall in love with Future, who has 10 children. So why can't this woman deserve love?
But the women that fall in love with Future, are they going to have to take care of Future's 10 kids and pay for them?
That's true. That is true. But I mean, he still has them. That's true.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. And do you think that this is like some artifact of sexism or something, or just nature speaking? But typically that's the interesting thing, right? It seems like having lots of kids is more of a stain for women and more baggage for women than it is for men.
Yeah.
Because you're asking someone else to take on that baggage. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's fair? Do you think that's an artifact of our society, or do you think that's just nature?
I think it's just nature. I think it's women are just naturally more accepting of situations like that. Like literally, women will meet a man and be like, okay, yes, he has 5, 6, 8, 7 children, but I will still be with him because I don't mind being a stepmama. On the flip side, men, I think, because of the nature of things and the nature of society and our culture, they be like, listen, no, I'm not doing that. So they have to really love the woman. I saw a video the other day of Russell Wilson talking about holding baby Future and saying I knew God said he was going to be my responsibility. A man got to say that about your 7 kids. It's a little harder,
That's a lot of kids. So let's play the clip. And everybody who's watching, please hit the thumbs up button if you can. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. So here is the clip.
Mom of 7, and I'm 33.
Okay.
With being a mom of 7, do you think that a woman of multiple children is still capable of finding someone?
First, let me ask you before I make the statement. Do the kids have the same father?
Yes, they do.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. Okay, so this is hold on. We're talking about 7 children, okay? This is no offense to you because it's absolutely possible for you to find a quality man. What makes it a tad bit difficult is that you have to find a man who has the financial footing to take care of you and 7 children. And then you also have to be able to find a man who is going to be willing to come in and create structure in that household. 7 children on 1 person is a lot to create structure in. So there's a lot that this man is going to have to come in and do. On top of that, creating a secure space for you when you have to be a mother and you have to take care of the majority of the things that happen in a house. Are you going to have the ability to be able to love this man in a way that he needs to be loved, in a way that registers as love to him when you have to love 7 other individuals? You're going to need a man who can love those children as his own.
Yep.
That is a huge responsibility to put on a person who does not have those children. Those are not his kids.
Right.
But if I were you, no disrespect, I'll try to work it out with the father.
No, hear me out.
Hold on.
Okay. So it sounded like Tiara that, and let me know, were y'all able to hear that video? Let me know if you're able to hear it in the chat. Um, so Tiara, why do you think why do you think she and a few other people kind of acted or like reacted like in shock when she said, I think you should work it out with the father?
Um, right. That's a great question because you for her, I'm pretty sure she knows what happened in that situation. Whatever that was, whatever happened, obviously it must have not been a good thing because that was her response. Like, I'm done with that. But they had to have loved each other at some point to have 7 children together. So there is a part of me that feels like there is some validity to that statement, right? Where I feel like maybe they should work it out or do something or co-parent or something until all them kids turn 18. And then she can go out and be whatever she wants. I mean, maybe that's an alternative, but it's just a very hard thing to ask. And she's so young. She looked like she in her 20s. I don't know if you can have kids that, maybe she started as a teen and now she's like 20 something, but she looks very young. So asking someone to wait a long time before they can actually get out and date, it's just hard. That's a hard situation to be in.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to process that, right? I think everybody has a right to do what they want to do. Yeah. And you know me, you know how I think. I'm a million thoughts kind of go through my head in terms of trying to process this. I think that I was surprised that she had so many kids, and I was surprised that she was so young. 33 with 7 kids. It's like, wow, that's a lot of baby making. That's a lot of birthing, and I think kids are a blessing. And I can say that I think that there would be some man. I mean, she's a pretty lady, so I'm sure if she's the right kind of woman, there is some man out there that will be okay with taking that responsibility. So I don't think she's out of the dating game at all. I don't think it's anybody's right. It's nobody's right to tell her that she's out of the game. That's like me telling you that you can't get a good job with a GED. No, a GED makes it harder. That it's going to be hard for you to compete with the college grads, but you can. There are ways around that. I know people with GEDs who make more money than surgeons. So if somebody was to say blanketly, well, you got a GED and how dare you expect to make that kind of money? Well, you don't know who that person is. That person may have special abilities that other people don't have. So I think that the immature conversation you hear online where people act like certain, aspects of your past make you completely ineligible for love and happiness, that's bullshit. That's stupid. That's right. That's idiot talk. Now, at the same time, I think I'm a little confused about the way we go about our relationships. I have a lot of concern about the way our society has really undermined the meaning of the word commitment. I'm just getting tired of hearing about somebody that's like, I invested half my life in this situation, in this person, and I just left because I felt bad. They made me feel, but they hurt my feelings. They cheated on me. They did. To me, a commitment is a commitment. To me, a commitment means I'm going to do this. Right. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it unless it gets hard. It means I'm going to do it. Right. I'm in this. And those 7 kids are expecting you to keep your commitment, whatever that means. And so yeah, sometimes it might mean you have to live in the house with a bastard. You might have to live in the house with a bitch, and I can just say that, I love my wife enough that I could live in the house with a bitch. Especially if my wife didn't have my kids, but I can tell you like this straight up. If her 3 children were my children, I would not leave that house unless I was forced to get out. I'm not leaving the house with my kids because my kids need me. I've seen too much data to tell me that we ignore and neglect the damage that's done to children when you take their fathers out of the house. Kids get, especially boys. These boys, I got several friends whose sons became drug addicts when their fathers moved out of the house and their mothers couldn't control them. Happens too often for us to act like it's not a big deal, So the problem is the reason we can't have a real conversation about it is because everybody's so caught up in their own feelings about what you said that they can't even hear the argument, right? It's all about, well, me saying that a boy needs a father is like me saying you're a bad mother. No, it's not me saying that. It's saying that he needs a father, right?
Correct.
So I think that that's the problem. I get a little irked by it because
Mm.
I think I understand it, right? I think that we have a community that has a lot of unhealed, undiagnosed trauma. That's
Yeah.
why we created that Black Financial Therapy Department in the Black Business School, because we concluded that unhealed, undiagnosed, untreated trauma in the Black community is the number one factor in making bad decisions.
Yes.
We make these decisions because they make us feel good. That's where you get these addictions, not just to drugs and alcohol, but you get sex addictions, food addictions, shopping addictions, and all these addictions fuck up your life. So
Yeah.
you're constantly self-medicating through sex, fucking people that you have no business being in the bed with, right?
Yeah.
Because love makes you feel good, right?
Yeah.
And so you're leaning on all these feel-good chemicals, and next thing you know, you got a bunch of kids with somebody where now you're trying to convince me that this guy's the worst guy in the world, and I'm sitting here thinking, well, you didn't see any of that when you were letting this man in your body and putting your life in his hands? Like you
Yeah.
didn't see any of that,
Yeah.
And so it doesn't. It's not me calling those people stupid. It's saying until we learn to heal, and we'll never be able to make good decisions. We're always gonna ruin our lives, and then say, "Woe is me! I'm a victim. My life is so bad because I'm Black." Your life is not bad because you're Black. Your life is bad because you never healed and you made a bunch of short-sighted decisions that put you in a tough spot. Like
Yeah.
you're that guy who's 37, you got 12 babies mamas, whatever, and you can't afford the child support. You're crying in court because you can't afford the child support. Well, why were you putting your penis in all those women anyway? What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, because it feels good, or because I was following stupid culture, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And it's just kind of unfortunate. It's sad. I don't like to watch it, honestly.
Yeah. I think for women, sometimes it's a little different because I'm sure not it's a little different, but I'm sure at some point when she met this young man, she had to be young because she had 6 kids, right? So no telling how old those kids are if she started having babies as a teenager or a young mom. Well, she was obviously a young mom, but in her 20s, early 20s, or whatever the circumstance is. I feel like she probably did think that was her person until he showed that he wasn't. I'm always an advocate for like not staying in situations that are harmful to you, whether that's someone bringing harm to your body, somebody making you mentally fall apart, like, just any of those things. Like I hear what you're saying about being in a lifelong situation and making a commitment. But if that person is making you feel crazy or making you feel like you want to kill yourself or, things that are harmful to you, I say the opposite. I say you got to do what you got to do. Now, it leaves her in a situation that she has to pay for. She has to figure this out with the 6 kids and being like a single mom and, or maybe she's not a single mom. Maybe she co-parents and just wants love. Maybe he takes care of the kids and they, she's just like, well, we do every other week. And, I want to date other men and I want to be loved properly and all the things. So I just don't know if it's completely, we don't know their situation. We can only speculate, but I just think that if it was a situation where it was very toxic, I don't know if you stay in a toxic situation for 18 years and then just throw away your life just because you made a decision at 15, 20, 22, like it just seems like a death sentence.
Well, what that really speaks to, in my opinion, is it speaks to a very fundamental question that a lot of people are probably afraid to answer or can't answer. And the question that I would ask is, are your children worth your life? Would you sacrifice your life for your kids? Would you be willing to be unhappy for 25 years or 20 years or whatever, so that your children can grow up in a stable household? Or at the very least, you got 7 kids. Can you wait till the last one turns 18 before you go out and start living your best life again? Is that okay? She's a young, beautiful woman. She'd probably be done. All the kids be grown up by the time she's 40, 39. You can still get them in at 39, 40 years old. There are parents that do that. And I think that what's interesting to me, what bothers me about these conversations that people have in relationships is it's all about me and how I feel. They never really talk about how the kids feel. No one, pay attention. Notice that when you, this is honestly a bone to pick. I have to pick with feminism, and I got a lot of bones to pick with men too, because a lot of us men, we stupid. We got some dumbass men that are very selfish. But feminism, what I don't like about modern feminism is that it made women start acting like men. It made women as selfish as the worst men. So people think that equality between men and women means that convincing women to behave in the same way as the worst men somehow makes us equal now. So whenever you do something dastardly, ridiculous, selfish, or harmful to others, all you got to do is turn and say, well, men do it all the time. And I'm supposed to be like, oh, well, that makes it okay now. No, it's not okay if a man does it. It's not okay if a woman does it. Our kids need us and our kids don't have us because we got 42-year-olds out here trying to go to the club, trying to go get some good penis or some good vagina, and it's like, and that little 12-year-old is sitting at home, suicidal, like passing their time on TikTok, like wondering like if they have any self-worth, because we as adults aren't even thinking about them. We making dance videos on Instagram, and I just kind of feel like that just reflects like the fundamental immaturity that we have in the US. Like just the idea that, like, I don't think it's outrageous to say, no, you made a commitment. You didn't just make a commitment to that man or to that woman. You made a commitment to those children. And as much as you might want to, kick him out because you found out about the other chick, or you might want to walk away because the stress is too hard, those children aren't mad at their mother. Those children aren't mad at their father. Like you. If you ask the kids, like, do you want mommy and daddy to stay together? Or you want them to break up? The biggest crock of shit I've ever heard is when people say, well, my kids are better off because I got a divorce. And it's a crock of shit to me, because 9 times out of 10, that person never asked the kids. They just make the assumption that the kids must like it, because what they're doing is they're alleviating their own guilt for the decision that they made. I don't like it, and then what's crazy is, like, this poor lady, she's out here in this situation now where she's looking for a man to come in and clean up her mess. And there's a lot of men, and there is I think it's a legitimate movement to some extent. There's millions of men now online who are saying that's BS. Like, you break our hearts by destroying our families, and then you go and you find another man to play cleanup after you just decided to go in and create all this other stuff over here. Now somebody else is supposed to come take responsibility for that. Again, some men don't mind it. I don't mind it. I married a woman with 3 kids. I love those kids. You know that. Yeah. But I understand where they're coming from too.
Yeah. You said a lot of things that I agree with. But I did, I have trouble believing that if 2 people are unhappy in the same household, that it'll be beneficial for the kids if at some point somebody starts whooping somebody's ass, or, because it can get, we saw what 2020 did to people, where they were forced to be in the same house together for long periods of time, and they didn't even like each other. There was a lot of divorces. There was a lot domestic violence, like, spiked. Just all of these things happen. So we can say, like, oh, you should stay together for the kids. But, like, if you take 2 people that don't like each other and put them in a house, they're going to argue more. And, not to be telling y'all all my business, but, I co-parent with my daughter's father, and he's a very good father, and we co-parent very well. Now, if I had to, if I feel like it's better that we're separate. I feel like we can co-parent a lot better. We show up for Lauren a lot better. We can live cohesively, like we have a family unit without having one, because we're mature adults. But you take, it hadn't always been like that. When we were younger, we used to bicker all the time. You know what I mean? Like, what he wants, I have the same reaction to the girl. I'm like, yeah, because I'm a woman and I understand that. Sometimes it's like, I met you at 25. At 40, that doesn't necessarily work for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like, the decision that I made when I met you, like, oh, let's see where this goes. YOLO, like, that was literally when we were hanging out. What I was saying, obviously at 40, I say very different things. So I just think that that's one thing to kind of underline, like, having 2 people that don't like each other, that have not grown together and that are not on the same page, I think is detrimental to kids, because, they just see fighting and fussing, and that causes trauma as well. The kid can still be in the room like, I want to kill myself because my parents won't stop arguing. So that's just an interest, you can't say one thing or the other. I'll say that. And then I don't necessarily know if she's saying I'm looking for a man to clean up my mess, but, like, people deserve to be loved, right? Like, I feel like, and I know your tone, and I know you don't mean it like that, but it's very, like, tonight it's like, look, she's looking for a man to clean it up. It's very harsh, right? So I'm just, like, soothe over that a little bit with a little balm and say, like, a woman just wants to be loved, regardless of, like, what she's done or what mess up. That doesn't mean that she goes to prison and is single for the rest of her life because she decided, like, oh, I want to have 6 kids with this person. and that didn't work out, and I really don't like him, and he wasn't the person for me. I made that decision when I was young, So I just think, I'm just saying, like, she deserves love. It's not just like I'm looking for a man to clean up my mess. It might just be like, I'm looking for a man. I take care of these kids all day. I'm running a soccer practice and all of the things. And at the end, I want somebody to rub my feet. I want somebody to hold me, So I just think it's just something to consider.
I think that's a lot to consider, and it made a lot of sense. And by the way, everybody, if you just tuned in, you're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm with Tiara KJ Williams. Her business is at Real Virtual, and they will help you get your business off the ground. If you have a business that is either starting or you want to take to the next level, they have a whole team that can help you get the work done, come up with ideas, come up with strategy, all that. I was talking just earlier today, Tiara, about how the economy is changing and having a side hustle is no longer optional. It's required because wages are not going up. Inflation is going up. And you never know. I would encourage everybody, look into that family business, so you can do a free consultation. It doesn't cost you a nickel to explore with them how they can help you. Just go to realvirtual.net, not .com, .net, REEL virtual.net. And also, you guys know that in the morning we do financial consciousness training and stuff like that. And I also have a free training called How to Make Money Without Working. We're big on Black wealth in the Black Business School. So if you'd like to receive a free copy of that training, just text the word money to 87948. Text money to 87948, and I'll send that to you. I'll also invite you to our Stock Options Summit, which is happening in Los Angeles on April 19th and 20th. So there's plenty of ways for you to make extra money, and that's the goal. All right, so let's hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. We're talking about this video of this woman with 7 kids who is looking for love and just kind of debating that back and forth. I'm going to play this video one more time for those of you that just came in, and then Tiara and I will make a couple more quick points, and then we'll kind of bounce out for tonight. So here is the video. All right, let me know. Give me a yes if you can hear it. Here, I'm going to play it now.
Mom of 7, and I'm 33.
Okay.
With being a mom of 7, do you think that a woman of multiple children is still capable of finding someone?
First, let me ask you before I make the statement. Do the kids have the same father?
Yes, they do.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so this is hold on. We're talking about 7 children, okay? This is no offense to you because it's absolutely possible for you to find a quality man. What makes it a tad bit difficult is that you have to find a man who has the financial footing to take care of you and 7 children. And then you also have to be able to find a man who is going to be willing to come in and create structure in that household. 7 children on 1 person is a lot to create structure in. So there's a lot that this man is going to have to come in and do. On top of that, creating a secure space for you when you have to be a mother and you have to take care of the majority of the things that happen in a house. Are you going to have the ability to be able to love this man in a way that he needs to be loved, in a way that registers as love to him when you have to love 7 other individuals? You're going to need a man who can love those children as his own.
Yep.
That is a huge responsibility to put on a person who does not have those children. Those are not his kids. Right. But if I were you, no disrespect, I'll try to work it out with the father.
No, hear me out. Hold on.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. First off, I'll answer a couple of your questions in here. Tando says, talk about crypto. It's booming right now. Well, you know what? What we can do is tomorrow morning in our financial consciousness training at 10 a.m. Eastern that we do every single morning, we can talk about crypto and what's going on with Bitcoin. As you guys know, Bitcoin is now almost at its record high. So, come on in. Text the word morning to 87948, and you'll get a free invitation to join us for the live sessions of what we do every morning. It's called Dr. Boyce Daily, Money in the Morning. So text the word morning to 87948, and I'll send you guys an invitation, and we'll do an analysis on crypto tomorrow. All right. So, and you're right, Dexter. We did say 6. It's actually 7 kids that she has. So Tiara, I'll tell you what. I think that it would be wrong to decide if this woman could have a relationship. I think everybody wants to be loved, like you said. And I don't care how many kids you got. And we know that there are guys that got 10 million babies mamas that will keep on finding love. Because guys that have a lot of kids like that, I'm sure they're probably really good at sex. So I'm sure they got lots of women that'll come hang out with them. And and that's the crazy part, right? Is that people are so caught up in the feel good of the sexual experience, they're not thinking about all the consequences that come with that. We're pretty good at wrecking our lives. Like the culture pretty much encourages us to do things that are going to make us sorry later on. But I think that with her, one thing that came to my mind was, I guess she didn't really say what the nature of what kind of relationship she wanted, right? If she, maybe she's a mom who just says, look, I just want a man to come by and just, spend some quality time with me, take me out on a date every now and then. These are my kids. He ain't got nothing to do with this. Or it could be a scenario where it's like, no, I want the full package. I want the husband. I want him to come in and take this responsibility. I think that's asking for a lot. Like that's what I've noticed is like, it's like maybe it's like if you think about it, right? You go in a restaurant, if you only want to order like an appetizer, it doesn't cost that much. Like you go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse, which is very expensive, but if you just get an appetizer, it might cost you like $15. But if you want a full course meal, you're paying over $100. And in relationships, I think it's kind of like that now too, right? Like if you're a person in their 40s, let's say, and you just want some sex, that's available everywhere. That's cheap and easy. Like that comes, $2.50 a pound. But if you want like the full thing, like the love and the marriage and the commitment, that's a heavier load, right? And it almost seems like that's kind of what people are grappling with. I think about a person I knew one time who was she would brag all the time. She was in her 30s, so she would brag all the time about how she never had trouble finding a man. She said, "Oh, I got plenty of men. I got no problem finding a man." But then I saw what quality of men she was getting, and they were literally the stuff that the dog drags in. And also, I was looking at the level of the commitment that these men were making. They weren't making commitments; they were coming over to have sex with her, and that was it. Right? So she had plenty of men, but it was quantity and not quality. And it seems like that discernment has to be made when you really talk about like, I'm single and I'm looking for love. I think it's harder to find quality. Like if you're looking for quality, I'm almost in that camp of saying, your husband was giving you some quality, but whatever his shortcomings were led you to walk away from that. And I don't know if it'll be easy to find another man that'll give you that level of commitment to you and your kids that your husband did. What do you think?
Yeah. I think I definitely was going to say, she said you have to have the financial footing to take care of all those kids. I agree with that. But, I'm not going to say he needs to be rich, but he definitely needs to have a plan for you and your family. And then if he has children, because most men have children, right? So not only is he coming, you got your 7 and he got his 4, 5, 3, 2, whatever. And y'all got the Brady Bunch. Now, some people want that though. Like there are people there are men. I think there's somebody for everybody. There are men that don't have children that are like, damn, I really want like a full house. And I didn't grow up with a big family and I would love that. And, so walking into your situation, like now, if I was to date, I don't mind being a stepmom because I got one kid and she wants siblings. I'm like, come on, bring your kids. Can't have too many kids, but you can bring some kids in here. It's cool. I like children, right? So it just depends on the situation. And like you said, what you're looking for. You might find a man, like I said, that is looking for a woman that is a full package. That's great. That got kids. It's cool. I hope she, and he said you have to find someone that loves those kids like their own. I think that's the biggest issue. Like just making sure that, like you said, the quality of the man is, I think a man who is willing to walk in and love you and your 7 kids is off top quality, right? Like he got to be like, because if he's willing to do that. But yeah, I think she may have a harder climb, but I think she can still get to the top of the mountain.
I think she can too. I believe here's the thing. One of the things that bothers me the most, I like to think I'm a person that tries to think about stuff a lot. I got limited real estate to work with inside this brain of mine, but I use every inch of it to try to process stuff, right? So one thing I process with all these conversations about relationships online is that everybody makes it just so simplistic. It's like, oh, how dare you think that you can have a good man and you got 3 kids, or how dare you think that you can get a certain kind of woman and you only make $40,000 a year. That to me is that's just ignorant thinking, because you don't understand. You're neglecting the fact that there's a thousand variables that can be managed and manipulated to make you into a quality partner,
Yeah.
right? There's so many things that come into play. Um, where you go looking for a partner, how you approach your potential partner, how you treat people once they're in your life, right? Drawing the right boundaries, but at the same time, understanding how to make that person feel a certain way to make them want to be around you. Like a woman, and this is something men and women, we're all equally stubborn about this. We, for some reason, in the middle of the gender war, we somehow feel like there's something wrong with learning how to be the kind of partner that somebody would want, right? Like when women work to make men happy, to please men, there are other women online that call them pick-me's and stuff like that. And I'm like, and one lady, she said it real well. She said, "Yeah, I want to be a pick-me because I want them to pick me." She said, "Y'all mad because ain't nobody picking you. That's why you up here bitter and stuff." Yeah. So and then the same thing with men. Like that, when a man knows how to treat a woman, you use terms like simp. It's like, shut up, idiot. Like you'll look. What, you want me to be bitter like you? Like sitting around mad at women because you can't get what you want? I know how to make a woman happy. I know how to make it work. Why? Well, because I'm not a dumbass. I studied that. I read a whole book about women to learn how women think and what works. And so that, to me, these are basic solutions. Solutions. If you want a job at the Ford plant, you're more likely to get the job if you understand how to do the job well and what the company's looking for. If you walk in to the Ford plant for a job and you tell them, I want the job, but I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it, and I'm gonna show up and I want to show up, and you can't be telling me what to do or whatever. You're doing all this nonsense. Ain't nobody gonna want to hire you. Correct. Ain't nobody gonna want to deal with you. So people approach relationships like that. Like, you really think you can attract somebody acting like an asshole? Like, no, and then you go further and you make fun of people that are willing to do the work that you don't want to do. So here's what I'm saying. If a woman, I don't care if a woman got 40 kids, if she knows how to make a man happy, how to listen to him, cook for him, give him a good experience in the bedroom, look good for him, it appealed to him in the ways that appeal to a man. There are so many men who are like, I will take you and all of your 40 children, and I will love you all. Right. And then the other thing, too, is you're right. She made a good point that when you're talking about taking on 7 kids, you're right. Broke men need not apply. Right. If you're the kind of man who can barely pay your own bills, this is not the job for you. but not all men are financially struggling like that. Maybe at 33, she still looked cute. She's a pretty lady. The cute young 33-year-old, maybe she needs to date the healthy 42-year-old who's got a little bit of money, who also is looking for family now that he's hitting a certain stage in his life, right? Maybe she don't need to be dealing with young knuckleheads who are still trying to get off the ground, that they may not be qualified for that particular job. And so this is why I encourage people to really date with your own preferences in mind. Like pick without letting the world judge you. Like, we judge people. We judge, like even men that want to date younger women, they're like, oh, that's creepy, blah, blah. No. Older rich men have been attracted to younger women since the beginning of time, and young, struggling, broke-ass women have been attracted to older, more stable, wealthy men since the beginning of time. Stop making these stupid rules that are putting people in these horrible situations. That's my rant. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm always like, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I also think that to piggyback off what you said, one of the things that I thought was important as like I start to approach the whole idea of like marriage, because of those things I had never considered before. I was like, I'm gonna thug it out. I'm gonna do this. But as of late, I've been like, oh, well, I need to learn what married life is about. Like, what does that even look like? So like you said, you kind of have to see it before you have it, right? Like, kind of manifest it in the right way. So one thing that was important, not only did I want to do these things for me, but I decided to go to therapy, right? To work on those, things that happened back in the day that may have scarred me, that may hinder me for a lifetime relationship, right? We're talking about marriage. I decided to, obviously I work out every day. I train all the time. You know, there's just these things that I do for me that would, like you said, would be attractive to another person, or the quality of man that I would be looking for. So, you know, I just think that's important. You know, I think that's important, even from a female perspective. I know a lot of women are like, he gonna take me and this broken and my brokenness. He better love me, you know, like, you know. No. That's not how that works.
Nobody. No, I mean, if you got a choice, especially when if you're somebody that has options, and you got a choice between somebody who did the work to fix themselves versus somebody who refuses to do the work. I would say all day long, pick the person who does the work, who's willing to do the work, right? And I really think that a lot of people just have it wrong. They don't understand how under-equipped African American people are when it comes to the ability and the art of maintaining healthy relationships. We are horribly under-equipped because we've gone through so much trauma and so many bad experiences, and such little preparation for the discipline required to maintain stable families. We just don't have it in our culture. Nobody, you know, 76% of all Black children don't even know what it's like to have a father in the house. So I would say that if I was to really make like rules of relationships that you know that can create like a healthier environment for kids, I would get away from this whole model of like, we're going to get a divorce and daddy's going to see the kids every 2 weeks. I would probably like make a rule. Like if I got married and had kids with a woman now, let's say my wife's kids are her kids, right? But I'm the bonus dad. If I wasn't there, they got a daddy, right? He's a great guy. But if I had kids with a woman, you know what I would say? I would probably put something in our marriage contract that says, if we get a divorce, we have to live within 10 minutes of each other until the kids turn 18, right? Something that basic, right? Like, okay, I can't stand you, you can't stand me. I got to get my own place, you get yours. But I'm gonna be right there. The kids can literally, you know, in fact, ideally, the kids can walk out of the house and walk to my house. You know, that way, I think that's like almost like walking from one bedroom to the other bedroom or something, right? So I think that allows the kids to really have a full, complete experience as, you know, as a family, as opposed to like this false idea that seeing your parent once every 2 weeks is the same as having a full-time parent. That's bullshit. That is not true. Imagine if every Black boy in America only saw his mama once every 2 weeks. The number of Black male serial killers would skyrocket. You would have a bunch of really messed up dysfunction, because kids got to see their mama regularly. They can't see their mama once every 2 weeks and think that you got a full-time mama. That ain't no full-time job in history requires you to come to work once every 2 weeks.
That's right.
You know, like being a mama is, and that's the other thing too, is I think that we, mature people kind of have to sort of make sure. I would encourage people to really discern and don't get caught up in this wave of anti-woman talk and anti-man talk that's happening online. These are just bitter, frustrated people who have undiagnosed, untreated trauma. There was one lady I knew, and I'm not even gonna say her name because I'm you know what, Tia, I'm a horrifically bad judge of character. I have been played so bad in terms of people that I helped that literally no one would even know about these people if I had not put their videos out there or whatever. But there's one lady that I helped her kind of get her stuff started. She would send me her videos and I shared them because she was interesting to listen to, but I didn't know how dysfunctional she was. And I remember she told me her story, and her father used to do like terrible things, like in front of her, like use drugs in front of her and all that. And so she had a real deep hatred of Black men. And next thing I know, she was on the internet saying the craziest stuff about Black men. And it made me feel bad. I was like, oh my God, like I know what role I played in kind of helping her kind of get started. And I was like, man, I wish I hadn't done this, because what happens on the internet is that crazy people are always more interesting to listen to than stable people. Dumbasses are more interesting than the smart people. So the internet is this weird place where the dumbass crazy people get the most attention because they're the most interesting to listen to. And it really disrupts the culture if people start really following this horrible advice that people are giving. And so she got a platform off of that, you know, and I felt terrible about it because I said, man, this lady, she's, you know, and I know her story. I know what her father did to her, and I know she never got healed from that. And now it's like that trauma is like this emotional STD that you're spreading to everybody that's listening to your platform. Because when people come to you and they've got their own trauma and their own experience, and all you do is add to it. And it's like how men do this to each other. You know where men do this to each other? Back in the 1970s, white people in Hollywood started putting all these fucking pimp movies on TV, right?
Yeah.
And the black exploitation stuff. So my father said in the 70s, every black man wanted to be like the Mac, like the guy in the Mac and whatever. So then, but the thing is that this passed on generationally, because Snoop Dogg, if you remember in the 90s, he used to hang out with pimps, and he used to say, "We don't love them hoes," and he would replay famous, your bitch chose me, like these scenes from 1970s movies, right? So this gets passed on generation to generation. And so what happens is, let's say that a man he's not into that. Let's say that he really loves a woman, he falls in love, and then he gets his heart broken. So then he goes and he talks to some other guy, and the guy, what's the guy gonna say? The guy's gonna be like, "See, that's why you don't love these hoes. You gotta treat these women bad before they. You gotta get them before they get you, right?" Yeah. So a mentally ill, traumatized person will literally give you the absolute worst advice to help you heal from a trauma you've experienced. And so then at that point, you it's like being bit by a zombie. You literally start going around and infecting other people, right? And I think women do that to each other too. That's why I think that a woman who really loves her man should never be getting relationship advice from her lonely, single, bitter friends, because all they're going to do is destroy everything you've got.
I agree. It's hard. It's so funny because, and you can tell, like when you get on, there's a few people online that I like peek in there, look at their YouTube following or whatever. And it's like the way they talk. There's a young lady that is very popular, but she be like, she hate men. It's clear, right? Like she used to date a man, and they broke up, and then she became a lesbian, and now she be like, "See, ladies, you got to treat these men whatever." Like she's on YouTube. I can't think of her name right now. It's like the Queen Maker or something. No shade to the Queen Maker, right?
Yeah, let's not even. I don't even want to say no names, because next thing you know, it will be the topic of somebody's video. So
that's true. That's true. But what I noticed, I mean, I don't. But she, when I heard this young lady talking about like or how she ended up with a woman, and it all kind of went from like, just her experience with a man and how her heart was broken. So, and then there's tons of women like, "That's right, queen," like, so I just noticed what you're saying. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has an audience. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has a story that should be acknowledged, right? Like that should be, but if they're using it for bad, that could be bad for us. But if they're using it for, just as a negative and literally turning people against each other, kind of like, you said we're not saying names, but I feel like Kevin Samuels kind of did that. Like he did that, like where it's just like, you over 35, what's your waist size? It'd be, a black man won't want you. It's just
that was frustrating to me, because I was like, wait a minute, man, like so hold up, you speak for yourself, man. You talking about women over 35 ain't this and ain't that, and I'm like, no, man, I actually kind of had already at that time I had already decided I don't want to date women under 35. I had that experience. I was like, it's okay, but I kind of like women that are closer to my age. And so I think that for somebody to make blank, again, that's what I was talking about earlier. The lack of intelligence in that whole movement is when people make these simple-minded statements. Like, nobody's going to want you because your dress size is too big. Most black men I know don't care about your dress size. They looking at the shape, they looking at them hips, that boot, you know what I mean? Like they're like, well, how much do you weigh and what is your dress size? Like, I don't even know my wife's dress size. Yeah. I don't. I've never asked her. I never even thought to ask her that. Right. Like, so I think that was just strange, and to really tell somebody they're gonna die alone when there might be a real chance that they really could die alone. I'm like, what's the benefit of telling like you're sick, you're gonna die of cancer, and I'm like, well, you're gonna die of cancer, right? Yeah, right. You already knew that. I don't need to be the person to remind you of something that you may already know, and I think that it was just kind of mean-spirited, and I think that what was the ultimate horrific irony of Kevin Samuels' life is that he died alone.
He died alone.
He died alone. He died, laying next to some lady he met 24 hours earlier, some 32-year-old who's like, oh, get this old man off of me. I don't know what was going on in that hotel room when he died. And I don't think that she was real interested in looking after him the way his wife would have been,
Right.
and again, I'm not saying I wish that on him. I wasn't happy about that, but I had to be honest and tell young guys, I said, see, this is what happens. I'm almost Kevin's age. I'm in my 50s, and this is what happens sometimes when you get men that want to live in their 50s like they did in their 20s. So this is the danger of being an immature black male. Immature black males who never grow up, life hits them hard. There's guys that will like get older and they'll still be eating, drinking, and smoking like they did in their 20s, and something will happen, like they'll get diabetes, but they're like, oh, I ain't gonna change my habits. They don't change their habits. Same shit. Next thing you know, he's dead. Or had a stroke or something. So I think men have to understand that an element of maturity is understanding what stage of life that you're in, and just kind of saying, I wanted to get married in my 40s. Because I felt like, okay, I'm not in my 20s and 30s anymore. I kind of need to change my lifestyle just a little bit, create some structure and stability. But when I was 25, I don't know if I would have done that. Please.
I was just about to say, I would have loved to hear. I don't know Kevin Samuels' background, but I would have loved to hear where he came, like what he came from and what his story was. So sometimes when we are listening to people on the internet, like, are they healed people? Are they like people that have, like you said, done the work, or are they coming from a place that is riddled with all type of trauma and tragedy and ugliness and bitterness and mean-spiritedness, like all of that? Like, what is that? Before you jump on somebody's bandwagon and say, child, they know what they talking about, instead, like looking like, well, I wonder what, I know you do that a lot, where it's like you'll go and look at somebody's background just to know where they're coming from. I think that's so important. I could never sit and watch Krishan Rock and Blueface. I don't watch Housewives. I worked in reality TV. I could never watch those things because I just don't have the spirit for it. But I think it's I just couldn't sit and watch stuff like that. I think I've evolved way too much. I left reality TV for that reason, because I was like, you know what, this ain't good for my soul.
It's not. It's absolutely not. And I applaud everybody who's like growing above that, who's not really into that stuff. You got to get your own answers, and a lot of your answers are in a book. It's not on the internet. Some of these people, crazy people, are just more fun to listen to. They get triggered and their trauma starts coming out, and they start going off and screaming and hollering, and people really like that. We like to be entertained. And sometimes black folks are funny. Sometimes the crazier a person is, the more wiser they think that they are. They'll be like, oh, he know the truth. He's speaking the truth. I'm like, no, he didn't take his fucking medication. That's what you're that's what you're looking at right now. Like you really think that he's like this wise person? Come on. It's crazy. So anyway, congrats to the grown-ups in the black community. I applaud you for fighting against the culture and doing things that are beneficial to you. All right. So anyway, Tiara, I want to go ahead before we head out. I'd like to tell everybody, if you could go follow Tiara. Her Instagram is Miss Black Hollywood, MS Black Hollywood, and also her website is realvirtual.net. They can actually help you get your business off the ground, help you take your business to the next level. They do free consultations, free. So REELvirtual.net for those of you that are listening on Spotify. Make sure you go follow on Spotify. So go open up your Spotify, open up your Apple, and follow this podcast. Look up my name. I guarantee you I'll give you value as much as possible. Now, those who want to talk about economics, here's what I can do for you. Tomorrow morning, we are going to have Money in the Morning. We do this every single morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, every single morning. So get up with us, and I guarantee you it will change your life. And so if you'd like to join us tomorrow morning, just text the word morning to 87948, and I'll send you an invitation tomorrow to join us in the private Zoom. And we're going to do financial consciousness, talk about what's going on with money and everything else. And I guarantee you it's going to help you to put more money in your pocket. And so anyway, have a good night, everybody. God bless you. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. And thank you, Tiara, once again for a great conversation. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye-bye.